Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hey, I hate it when that happens. All right. Welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. Sitting right here next to me over my shoulder is Mr. Anthony Taylor, longtime friend and medical marijuana activist, even longer than I have been in Oregon. Maybe not longer than I have been, but in Oregon, longer than I have. Then over just beyond him is another longtime activist, Mr. Casper Leach. And standing by in the wings, John Cornett is ready to play some groovy tunes for us. We have our hemp news segment tonight, several videos from the Global Cannabis March, which happens tomorrow. And we'll be taking your calls about ending marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, helping medical marijuana patients, and the implementation of regulation here in Oregon and Washington and around the world. So stay tuned as we bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves.
Feel the force.
All right, our first story tonight is from our nation's capital. Just yesterday, the United States House of Representatives voted 213 to 210 to defeat an amendment to increase military veterans' access to medical marijuana. The appropriations amendment offered by Portland's own Representative Earl Blumenauer and a bipartisan group of co-sponsors would have prevented the Department of Veteran Affairs from spending money to enforce prohibition on VA doctors filling out medical marijuana recommendation forms in states where the drug is legal. I believe it is unacceptable for our wounded warriors to be forced out of the VA system simply to seek a recommendation on whether or not medical marijuana is a good treatment option. So we thank Representative Blumenauer for pushing that forward. We came very close here in Oregon. All of our delegation, with the exception of Republican Greg Walden, voted for that. If Walden had changed his vote, it would have been a tie and would have gone in our favor when the vice president voted on it, I believe. To the polls, the opinion polls, that is. Most Americans say that marijuana is safer than alcohol and support legalizing its use, according to several new polls, including a nationwide poll compiled by CBS News. 53% of respondents answered yes to the question, should marijuana use be legal? That is the highest level of support ever recorded by CBS pollsters since they began posing the question in 1979. 43% of the respondents opposed legalization. And over at the incredibly conservative Fox News channel, a majority of registered voters believe that marijuana should be legal, according to a nationwide poll commissioned by Fox News. 51% of the respondents said they favored legalizing marijuana. The figure is an increase of 5 percentage points since Fox commissioned polling on the question in 2013. And it's the first time that a majority of respondents have favored legalization in a Fox News-sponsored poll. Another poll, nearly 6 out of 10 Rhode Island voters favor legalizing marijuana like alcohol, according to survey data compiled by Public Policy Polling. 57% of the respondents said they support changing Rhode Island law to regulate and tax marijuana similar to alcohol. Only 35% of the respondents said that they oppose legalization. In the Rocky Mountain High, Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper, once a vocal critic of marijuana legalization, has changed his tune. Maybe it was the stacks of cash that got him to change. The Democratic governor told Fox Business Network that cannabis is not as vexing as he thought it would be. Hickenlooper partly tied Colorado's strong physical health to the popularity of and the economic opportunities connected to the legal marijuana industry. Hickenlooper said, quote, "It's all those young people coming and they look at marijuana and say, hey, we can drink whiskey. Why can't we have a legalized system with marijuana? If you look back, it's turned out to be not as vexing as some of the people like myself first thought it would be," end quote. Colorado Governor Hickenlooper said. The governor had forcefully spoken out against legalizing cannabis in the past and said Colorado is known for a great many things. Marijuana should not be one of them. But now that he's seen the green light, Hickenlooper said the state has been busy building a regulatory system, making sure we keep it out of the hands of kids, and making sure we keep our streets and roads safe, end quote. Across the river from us here in Oregon, in Washington State, I-502, the bill that regulated the legal sale of marijuana, the weak legalization initiative, which is having a crippling effect on medical marijuana up in Washington, and which passed with a $3 million war chest, despite having onerous provisions including an unscientific 5 nanogram per milliliter per se DUI cutoff for THC. Under Senate Bill 502, the expansion of I-502 recently signed by Governor Jay Inslee, medical marijuana dispensaries will be required to close down after January 2nd, 2016, forcing patients to compete with recreational users or go back to the black market. Well, one way to avoid the elimination of medical marijuana dispensaries and the decimation of the community represented by Senate Bill 5052 would be using the voter referendum process to say no to this new law, and that's the approach that's being taken. It's called Referendum 76, or R76. By saying no to 502, it would give patients back their current 15 plant limit, which would be reduced to 6 plants by this law when it goes into effect next year, and it removes the sections that change those current limits. R76 would also remove the sections that close the current dispensaries or access points. So we at Hemp News and Cannabis Common Sense and all of our organizations are advocating for R76 in Washington State so we can get the people of Washington to vote no, because we don't agree that these new sections should become law. A no vote on R76 will prevent this from becoming law. R76 needs 123,186 valid voter signatures by July 24th, to appear on the November 2015 ballot. The signature collecting is expected to begin on or about May 18th. The website for this is r76no.org, and it should be coming online at the first of next week. That's r76no.org. And that's the end of our Hemp News segment tonight. We'll jump over, and Mr. John Cornett has some music for us.
Hey, Paul.
Hey.
Hey, Paul. It's it's a real solemn week here. We lost Melody last week. We lost Rod a few days ago.
That's true. We had longtime cameraman Rod Platt had been working on our show for many years as a camera person, and he passed away last Saturday, and the day before that on Friday, Melody Silverwolf had passed away, another member of our community at the THCF Medical Clinic.
And we have another one too. We have Brother Dana, who needs to get his butt back here.
Well, he's recovering well. He hasn't died.
Yeah, so it's been a hard time for us over here. We love you guys, and we want to put a good show out to you, but sometimes we lose some of our technical crew, so it gets a little hard. But we make it. We do it. God bless you. I got this song here that I can't sing the words for right now, but I can play the music. We love you, Rod. We love you, Melody. And we love you very much. Dana, get your butt back here. Thank you.
Anthony Taylor of Compassionate Oregonians. I know you just lost your mother here last week as well. So
I guarantee you, though, she'll know my name in heaven.
Yeah.
So my condolences to everybody that had a loss this week.
And you as well. I know you've been working hard in lobbying the legislature. You have been doing that for some time. I remember when I first came to Oregon, I believe you were just doing an internship in the state legislature, and specifically so you could lobby for marijuana. That was back in the about 1983.
Yep,
long time ago.
And then in 1984, the Oregon Marijuana Initiative organization hired me to lobby in the 1985 session, which is when we got the early turn-in for signatures.
That's right. We had turned them in October of that year, and I followed in your footsteps a few. Well, I guess it was about a decade and a half later. In '97, I went and did a PSU internship in Senator Kate Brown's office. It was her first term in the Senate.
Wow.
And so I did that specifically to lobby against the bill to recriminalize the simple possession of marijuana. Back in the 1995 legislative session, it had come very close to passing in the closing hours of the Oregon legislature in 1995, and it was clear that it was going to probably pass in the 97 session. So I went to PSU and decided to go in the same program that Anthony had done, because I knew that was possible, and we had a friend in the legislature, Kate Brown. So I asked her if I could work in her office, and she said yeah, so I did. But now she's our governor.
And now you should give her a call, because she just sent a letter to the Measure 91 committee telling them that they really should kind of take a second look at what they're trying to do and make sure they implement seed to sale tracking. And so we're going to kind of wait to see what the weekend brings. And
yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, it's just a ridiculous set of extra burdensome regulations. I mean, I have cameras on my facilities, but piping them to the state, and the idea of having the state watch them, like that's going to accomplish anything. I don't think the ones they have it in Colorado. I don't think they have the ability to track that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, nobody's watching the video, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just a big expense.
So,
tell us about the other.
We do have some friends on the committee, and I think they'll have a confab with the governor. It's really late in the session to try and change course, we think, and so I think that's what the committee will basically tell the governor and move forward with what they've gotten drafted up so far.
I'm sure law enforcement urged her to write that letter, but they're always trying to urge the governor to increase the marijuana penalties and regulations.
Yeah, they just won't give up, will they?
No, unfortunately not. You know, we are live tonight on May Day, the 1st of May, 2015. If you're watching tonight, you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. If you have any questions about the legislative session here in Oregon, and we've got Mr. Taylor's been down there a great deal of time, so he can answer those with a little more knowledge than we normally are able to. And any other questions about medical marijuana or anything to do with hemp or cannabis, give us a call at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. So this bill is, what, 882? Senate bill?
844.
844.
Yep.
844. And so it's been through a series of amendments. What are they at? Like more than a dozen sets of amendments to it now?
Yeah, they're up to the -16.
-16. So they've had 16 sets of amendments. That's a lot more than just about any other bill I've heard.
Yeah. Well,
and this is a joint committee.
It is a joint committee.
One of Casper's favorite words.
Yes, indeed.
But the joint committee is of members of both houses of the legislature. Who are the legislators on that?
Well, from the House side, we have Representative Helm, Representative Olson, Representative Wilson, Representative Leininger, and then on the Senate side we have Burdick, Ferrioli, I know them all, Prozanski, Beyer, and Cruz.
Okay. Cruz is the one who wants to add more regulations. I think he sent a letter out saying that, didn't he?
Yes, that's correct. But he's always been that way, so we expect that from him. But we have had some interesting comments from all members of the committee, and Ferrioli, the minority leader in the Senate, came up with, if we got it legal on July 1st, why don't we start selling it to people? And that had some legs for a while. Session's not over yet, so we'll see what happens, and maybe it'll get legs again and get some support. But we're for sure going to see the committee pass out a bill sometime next week, unless the governor really, pulls the strings and stops it. But
So this is a Senate bill?
it's Senate Bill 844.
So does it first go to a vote in the Senate and
Yes.
then to the House?
That's correct. It goes
So-
right from the committee to the Senate floor, then to the House floor. And
So not through another committee then?
No, sir.
Okay. So then there's no chance for changing it between the two houses then?
There is, if you have enough support on the floor to send it back for an amendment.
I see.
That's
I
a
see.
possibility.
So the Senate, if it goes there first, has a chance to amend it before it goes to the House.
That's correct.
And if the House passes the same bill, then that would go to the governor's desk for a signature.
That's correct. Or
So-
the House could amend it and send it back to the Senate for confirmation, and
Yeah.
then it would go to the governor.
For a second vote in the
Yes,
Senate.
correct.
So what are the changes that have been kept in the bill so far? I know -6 changes were pretty controversial. There was a lot of talk the first of last week about patients opposing that, and the legislators got a lot of phone calls around that, didn't they?
They did get a lot of phone calls. They got thousands of phone calls and thousands of emails. And, one thing that the body tends to do is underestimate the power of the patients. And, when the patients realize that, things are going to be coming down to make things more restrictive for them and their ability to care for other patients, they really have a reputation of standing up and saying, hang on a second, let's take another look at this. And that's what's happened with this, with the amendments. And when we get amendments on Friday and they think they want to take a vote on Monday, that's really the time when patients have to be active and call their representatives and say, hang on, you got to take a day or two here, take a beat, let's take a look at this.
And so that's what happened last Friday
That's
with
correct.
those -6 amendments. But
That's
now they've added 10 more sets of amendments since then.
Well, some of them are misleading because they're as simple as, in line 14 on page 22, change the colon to a comma kind of thing. But of course, the cities and counties are in there with their own amendment trying to, make sure that they have control over siting of dispensaries and facilities and processing sites and all that sort of situation. In fact, grow sites, they want to be able to, regulate those. But the state has basically told them for hands off, and we're going to preempt you, and you can't pass extra taxes, and you can't over-regulate people. So that's good.
Indeed, indeed. So we do have at least one caller standing by. We're taking live phone calls tonight. If you have a question or comment, you can call us at that number on your screen. We'll go ahead and take that call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Hey, several things I want to say that I've observed in recent history. The cops are still worried about impaired driving. You just mentioned the ridiculous 5 nanograms per deciliter, whatever it was up in Washington. Why don't they just revert back to the standard old physical test where they have you walk the straight line, touch your nose, touch your finger to your nose, all that kind of happy horse crap?
We have that in Oregon. There is no 5 nanogram limit. Is there any move to include that? I don't think there's any move to
Nope.
include that in the legislature
Nope.
here in Oregon.
In fact, what we do in Oregon is if you get pulled over and they want to test you to see if you're under the influence of controlled substances because they've ruled out alcohol, they'll take you into the station and conduct what they call a drug recognition evaluation. And if you pass to all 12 steps of that evaluation,
It's a
then you
12-step
pass.
program, huh?
Yeah, it's a 12-step program, and if you fail 3 of them, you are considered under the influence. So if you're ever confronted with that situation, we always encourage you to P, not DRE.
What I'm saying is to these, and I'm talking to these morons down there that make the rules in both states, is that sobriety test is a sobriety test, a sobriety test. If the person can walk the straight line, if they can do all of the other physical things that they do to people that are, that they suspect might be on booze, do it. One size should fit all when it comes to the sobriety test. If you can pass all of that, you're good enough to drive. And I don't think it's right that they come in and they poke a needle in your arm and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, and then I think on top of that, with all of this violence that's gone on lately, with police officers, killing people left and right here recently, I think they all ought to be tested for steroids and steroid-like compounds, because I think a lot of these clowns have roid rage,
Yeah.
And I don't call all cops clowns. There's a lot of cops out there that are doing the work that needs to be done, and I don't begrudge them at all, and I'm not slighting them, but it's the ones that are overly aggressive that have a mean streak to begin with, and how they got past the police psychiatrists in the hiring process in the civil service exam, I don't know, but evidently the psychiatrists, if they have them in all states, which I suspect that they do, if you get hired as a police officer, you'd think they would be able to weed some of these people out.
Yeah. It's difficult. A lot of people like that are attracted to that sort of work, and then once you're in that line of work, you're exposed to the corruption, and it's got to be a tough job. We do know that.
And then on that,
I don't think, though, let me just say real quickly, I don't think there are any more murders of people by police today than there have been historically. In fact, I think there just may be less. It's just now we have video cameras, and so we can prove exactly what happened, and that makes a difference. The police have always lied about hurting and killing their prisoners, and they've always been believed. But now, if there's a video that shows exactly what happened, then they can't lie about that. The camera generally can't be fooled. And that's why we're seeing this. It's not that there's any more police brutality than there has been. I think there's actually less. It's just that now everybody's got a video camera in their back pocket.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of video cameras, real quickly, I just heard, and you guys maybe already know about this, but this is information for people that don't know about it yet. But in several states, I don't think it's here in Oregon yet, but the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, has an app that you can download into your smartphone. So if and when you get confronted by the police officers, it automatically goes to their website, and it also notifies other ACLU members or people that are friendly to the ACLU that have this app, that they can come out and videotape if the cops, like, for example, confiscate your phone and whatnot. They can come out and videotape on a moment's notice.
That's very good. Very good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
And by the way, police have been known to do violence. When I was a volunteer firefighter in a small town many years ago, some of the cops used to come in a small town, and they knew the cops in the big town. And occasionally we would be talking about, oh, this thief did that, or somebody stole the hubcaps or stereo out of somebody's car. And they said, yeah, when those guys get into booking, sometimes they fall down in the elevator, quote unquote. So that's been going on. When I first heard that information, that was back in the early 1970s.
Yeah, it's been going on back to
out there, and there are dirty cops, and the dirty cops are making it rough on the good cops.
That's true. Thank you for your call, sir. Have a good night.
Anyway, hey, thank you for.
So, Casper, you want to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, if you do a Google search, you'll also discover that it's a bit frustrating to learn that if you have a high IQ, you will not be employed as a police officer, because you will be considered hard to maintain as an employee. And so they are not looking for people who are very smart. And I'm not saying that to be mean or vicious. And there have been on many occasions when people have been outright disqualified from being considered as a candidate to be a police officer because they were just too smart. So if you're looking for a job as a police officer and you have an average IQ or less, there's a good chance they'll employ you.
We have another call and a question in the studio. Let's go ahead and take the phone call first, then we'll take the question in the studio.
My name is Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi. I have quite a few questions. My friend has a nephew who has cannabis, and he's medicalized to it. And I know that medicalized, if you have a family member, that you can be able to do whatever. He's on housing, and he's wondering about how to pass it for the federal because he's on Section 8.
It's up to the landlord in the Section 8 housing. There's nothing that forces a landlord to accept medical marijuana patients. Now, you can be lucky or wise and choose a location that does allow medical marijuana. I know Casper lives in the largest apartment complex here in Portland, Wimbledon Square and Wimbledon Green, right beside Reed College. We'll advertise for them again here, I guess, because they accept medical marijuana patients. And so
well, it was neat when they found out that I was a hemp activist. They wanted to know if I wanted an apartment facing the sun so that my plants could get plenty of nourishment. So that was very kind of them. So yeah, if you're
so you've got to look for that hemp-friendly environment.
Okay, so just basically look for a hemp-friendly environment, and then from there.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, thank you. That's
Thank
what
you.
I wanted to know, because I know that we just passed our law for recreational use, and I've been smoking it for like years because I suffer from epilepsy. And the DHA and the THC helps a lot, but also I suffer from bipolar and also depression. And I don't like taking pills because I feel like I'm a pill popper, and I told this to my doctor, and I'm trying to find some help to find a doctor that will accept me because I'm getting no income. The only income that I get is food stamps.
Yeah. Well, we have doctors who are located here in Portland and around the country. So if you're looking for a doctor who can help you, then you can call us here locally. That's at 503-281-5100. We're going to pop it there on the screen, 503-281-5100. We have clinics from Maine to Hawaii as well and can refer you to a doctor, many places in between. So if you're in Portland, call us at 503-281-5100. If you're outside of the Portland area, you can call us toll free at 1-800-723-0188. It's 1-800-723-0188.
Okay.
All right. Have a good evening.
Hey, thank you, guys, and thank you for this election, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling. And I'm glad to hear it's helping your epilepsy.
It's also good for congressitis.
And lots of other
signs
things.
are a pain in the neck and constipation. So,
good point. Go right ahead, studio audience member.
Thank you, Paul. That thing, just to follow up on some stuff we've been talking about, the police call that a rough ride.
Yeah, that's what they were saying in Baltimore.
That's what they call it. They call it a rough ride, right?
Yeah, whether it's an elevator or a police van, huh?
I just wanted to go on the record saying that I think it's amazing how responsible the medical marijuana program individuals have been throughout this whole quest, if you will, or our experience having made it this far without anyone being an egregious example of why we should not make cannabis accessible to everybody. And that is the point that I want to make. I really have some concern about stupid getting a hold of marijuana, because so far all the people that have been legally using it have been screened by a doctor and a bunch of people who have their eyes on these individuals. Now we got stupid out there growing and driving. God help us. I don't know if it's going to hurt anything.
Well, I think they've been smoking and driving all along. I don't think there's anybody who's really been, well, maybe there are a few, but I think that, not meaning to criticize you or anything, that's not my intent, but I'm just saying that I think most people who want to smoke marijuana have been smoking marijuana. Maybe a few more people will grow it that weren't able to grow it, were afraid of growing it, but I understand your concern that somehow it might get into the wrong hands. I think that time will tell.
can you imagine Pat Robinson high? I mean,
I can actually.
Can you? I understand his point, you know.
But I wouldn't want to see him behind the wheel, straight or stone.
There you go.
We have a little video, you know, coming up this week. We're going to see in over 300 cities around the world the Global Cannabis March. We have our Global Cannabis March here in Portland. I think it's our 16th or 17th annual Global Cannabis March, and we'll have a little video of a speech given back in 2008 a little bit later. But in Buenos Aires, Argentina, last year they had over 150,000 people marching through the streets of Buenos Aires. And in other cities, they had tens of thousands, 20,000. In Santiago, Chile, they set the world record for a marijuana march. They had 175,000 people marching through the streets. We've got a little video from Rosario, Argentina here that shows about 20,000 people marching through the streets of Rosario. This is last year, and so
Wasn't Rosario your maid?
huh?
Rosario, Argentina. Wasn't she your maid?
No.
No?
No, you confused me. No, it's a city in Argentina.
Oh, I thought it was somebody who worked
I don't
for
have
you.
a maid.
Oh, really?
A man needs a maid. Neil Young sang that, but I don't have one.
Okay.
I got a wife though.
That's an obscure, obscure site for Neil Young.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Here's the video, folks.
Hasta la victoria, siempre.
All right, there it was, Rosario, Argentina. And so if you have a question for us tonight, you can call us there at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. We have a caller standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yes, my name is Eileen, and thank you guys for being there. And how can I help in any way, shape, or form? I am new to the program. I need medical marijuana, and how can I help?
Well, there's a lot of different ways to help, that's for sure. One way is to contact our political organization, that is CRRH, or the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. You can call us at 503-235-4606, or come right down here to the TV studio on any Friday night, though we aren't going to be live for the next 3 weeks. Our next live show is coming up on May 29th. Then we'll be here every weekend thereafter. But you can contact your legislators. Anthony's been lobbying a lot in the legislature. How do they contact you, Anthony?
They contact me at our website, CompassionateOregon.com, or they can contact us at the Facebook page, Compassionate Oregon.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways.
And as always, you can donate money. We always love money.
It's green.
Yeah, that helps.
You got to have that green to get the other green going.
Thank you, guys. I watch your program. I'm new to this program, and thank you.
You are very welcome. Thanks for calling in. So I have a little show and tell session here tonight. You know, we have our hemp flame of freedom. This is hemp oil with a hemp wick. And so this shows why marijuana is illegal. It's not because of the drugs. Drugs have always been a smokescreen. Marijuana has been illegal to suppress hemp fuel. And it was the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, elite, crony, capitalist ruling class that made up the whole.
Sons of bitches.
Well, that's Gatewood style.
Oh, okay.
They're sons of a bitches too.
Yeah.
Anyway, they made hemp illegal, and that's why it's illegal. Drugs were just a diversion. Right next to it, we have an Eli Lilly 1 pint concoction of cannabis fluid extract. It's got a nifty label on the back that explains all the different things that cannabis is good for. An antispasmodic, analgesic, aphrodisiac, according to this.
Whoa.
And
I knew that.
We did know that.
Wow.
We did know that. And it's also to help people used with excellent results by habituates of opium, chloroform, cocaine, and it will also treat delirium tremens associated with alcohol. That's from this 1910 bottle from Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly's still in business. Right next to it.
Wait. So marijuana is an aphrodisiac?
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Doesn't it? Then we have this. This is a little package of cannabis that recommends that you burn it. There's a little picture of a guy burning it there. And inhale the fumes for asthma relief. That's in French. Here's the side in English. Asthma relief. Kellogg's asthma treatment from Toronto, Canada.
And in French, it's fo.
Next to it, we have this Seaberry and Johnson
like
container.
that.
Seaberry and Johnson was the predecessor to Johnson & Johnson. This is a 7-inch wide, 1 yard long strip of aspirin, salicylic acid, and cannabis. So you'd take this and put it on your skin, whatever you had problems with, and you'd use this. It's aspirin and cannabis. This is from 1885, Seaberry and Johnson, the predecessor of Johnson & Johnson. Then right next to it, we have this one from Johnson & Johnson. It's the same thing about 20 years later, once they changed their name and their logo to their current one, Johnson & Johnson, with salicylic acid or aspirin and cannabis indica plaster. And so you just put this on your wound and it will help. Johnson & Johnson says so. Our baby shampoo.
Do you think that they changed their name to Johnson & Johnson after having the aphrodisiac?
No.
Oh.
No.
So you can get plastered.
Point. You can get plastered. Boy, you guys are on a roll here. Get plastered
No pun intended.
with Johnson & Johnson's hemp aspirin plaster. What a concept. Even older, Seaberry and Johnson. First it was Seaberry and Seaberry. Then it became Seaberry and Johnson. And then it became Johnson & Johnson. Only somebody who collects this obscure old stuff like me would know that, but I've got it memorized. So that's the end of our show and tell segment of the show tonight. So Anthony, during our little break there, you were saying that there's some movement to further restrict low THC industrial hemp from being cultivated?
Yeah, they've kind of put a moratorium on it for the next couple of years while they really get their heads wrapped around how it is they want to do it. I know that they're going to move to make sure there's some pilot projects going, which you're familiar with.
Yeah, I'm working on a pilot project myself with Oregon State University.
Yep, and they're going to make sure that we can use the seeds rather for things other than just replanting. And so, you know, it's a step forward. It's a step forward.
Well,
for
that'll
sure.
also give big business and the government a chance to get ahead of the private industry, too, by slowing things down a couple of years, don't you think?
Well, I'm going to try to change that and speed things up instead. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, 20 years ago, working with Steve Orgel, he had a pilot project with OSU to do flax at the time. And so, you know, this is continuing support from our colleges and universities to help, you know, move this process along. I also heard today that the OHSU is very interested in a lot more cannabis research, specifically when it comes to seizures and things of that nature, but also in conversations around the transplant list, so that we're not discriminating against people on the transplant list that use cannabis for relief.
Just today in the state of California, they passed a bill through the state assembly that would stop hospitals from taking people off the transplant list who are using medical marijuana. I have known over 100 people, Tim Guerin, many others.
Jim Clark.
Yeah, Jim Clark, other people who couldn't use, well, Jim wasn't taken off the list. He just quit using.
He just quit using.
Quit using so he could stay on the list, but in the end that didn't really help him. He wasn't able to get a match in a transplant.
Well, and to that point, Paul, we're working on a patients' rights bill. Originally, we started out with House Bill 2821 that would have expanded patients' rights, and it helped with the ACMM and a whole bunch of other things. And that unfortunately died in committee. The House Health Care Committee didn't want to hear it. But we've convinced another representative to use his last priority bill to redraft it, and so we're going to work with them starting next week, make sure it's drafted the way we want it, and then we're going to start pushing it.
Do you have a number on that yet?
We don't have a number on it yet. I will get it out as soon as we can.
We won't have another live show until the 29th of May, but we'll be doing some tape shows in the intervening 3 weeks, so maybe we can get it into one of those as soon as you have a number to get people active on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to need a lot of help on that because we're trying to do several things that the mainstream medical community is going to be trying to push back on. And the first one we're going to try and do is get rid of these policies that hospital groups and medical groups and clinics have that prohibit their doctors from authorizing cannabis cards and from prescribing other medications just because a patient is using cannabis. And along with that, we're trying to give protection to home health care and hospice care workers, as well as residential care facility people, so that they have an umbrella over them, so they're protected from criminal prosecution if they're administering to patients outside of a licensed medical facility, which they're already allowed to do. So some big...
What bill is that? Do you have a number on that?
We don't have a number on it. It's part of this big... what we're calling the patient rights bill.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let me know if we can help, and we'll definitely pass that word along. We have a caller who's standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, hi, guys. Geez,
Howdy.
you know, with Anthony there, it's a night that I really wish I missed the show. Thanks, as always, for you guys, both of you, for doing the show.
Hey,
I wanted
glad
to say a big thank you for Anthony, not just for coming on the show, but for the far, far bigger task of doing the incredible work that he's doing for all of us down in Salem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anthony.
You're welcome.
And you've already been doing what I was going to ask for, but I want more of. Anthony's there. This is a great chance we get to hear, reports from Salem and what else to watch for, and anything else that Anthony thinks that we should be active on right now. Because it's always now. We've been in touch with our state senator on this issue, but neither one of our representatives are on the joint committee. So, it's not quite as sweet as we'd like it to be. But yeah, I just want to hear as much as possible from Anthony in the course of the show about the specifics of what's going on down there. And
go right ahead, Anthony. That's why you're here. We're glad to have you.
Well,
bye-bye.
The process in Salem is pretty tricky sometimes. There's lots of deadlines and all that. And here about 3 weeks ago, the deadline for hearing bills passed. So if a bill hadn't been scheduled for a hearing, they just die in committee. And so now that part of that process is that the Revenue Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, Rules, Ways and Means, and the Joint Committee on 91 don't have to follow those deadlines. They can still introduce bills. That's why we're excited about the Patient Rights Bill being redrafted and resubmitted. So just stay on top of the Measure 91 Committee. They're doing all the work. There are some other bills that have worked their way through the House judiciary, like making blood tests legal for controlled substance driving and some other things of that nature, but they're well on their way to dying a slow death in the Senate judiciary. So,
and just Floyd Brzezinski, who's a backer of Measure 91 and on the Joint Committee, he's the head of Judiciary in the Senate.
Right, and so he's not going to let anything through that's going to damage patients or any of our other rights. The other thing is that you really have to pay close attention to, especially for the adult use segment of our population, is the OLCC just announced their Rules Advisory Committee, and they're going to be taking up what they need to do to implement Measure 91, so stay on top of that. I was lucky enough to be selected and nominated for a position on that committee, so
congratulations.
We'll be looking out for the patients in this roll forwards towards legalization, because we want to make sure that the OLCC doesn't do anything that's going to adversely affect the patients. And right now we're fighting with the 91 committee to make sure that doesn't happen. Now we're going to have to do it with the Rules Advisory Committee and the OLCC, which starts meetings in May this month. So.
And then they're going to promulgate the administrative rules that the marijuana laws will be in the liquor control stores will be operating under.
That's correct. That's correct.
We have another little video we're going to run here. This is from the 2008 Global Marijuana March. Once again, we have the Global Marijuana March happening tomorrow, May 2nd, all around the world. We'll be down at Pioneer Courthouse Square starting at noon. I think last week I didn't realize that the march this year is going to start at 4 p.m. So the march this year won't start till 4, but we have music and speakers at Pioneer Courthouse Square starting at 11:30, and then we'll be going out and marching at 4 p.m. So we'll be taking that 1.5 mile march. If you're not up to marching, I know I usually take about the first half of it. Then I jump on the biodiesel-driven Cool Bus. And so if you're not up to the march, you can ride behind the marchers in the biodiesel Cool Bus, rumored to have some hemp oil in its tank this year, which we're excited about.
Very cool.
We have a video from 2008 at the Portland Global Marijuana March. We'll be right back.
Silverwolf, also known as Sister Sativa, and it's been my privilege for the past 15 years to have a show on KBOO where I can address all the ills of society. I have a lot of opinions about the way things are in the world. I'm sure we all do, and everybody's here today because they support marijuana, they support positive change, and I don't just call myself Sister Sativa. I am a Wiccan priestess, and it's been my extreme privilege to be able to be an activist. This is my calling, and I do this full-time. I am a professional full-time cannabis activist, and it's a great privilege, and I really take it seriously. It is a calling. I feel that this is an expression of my spiritual beliefs, to be able to speak to the people, to put my energies into positive change, and I hope that that's why you're all here today. Obviously, our world needs a lot of change. Would you not agree? Yes. And we're here to do it, and I think that I'd like to share with you just some little insights today about how you think about things, the way that you appear, the way that you appear and the way you present yourself, and the thoughts that you think and the things that you say and do make such a difference. And collectively, we can and must and will change the world. Who else is going to do it? If it's not us, who's going to do it? Who's going to make the world the way you want it to be if it isn't you? Everybody here has to take that step and make it happen. So to that end, I encourage you to think about some things. Why do we love cannabis? Cannabis is a wonderful plant, a gift from the powers that be, the creator, the gods, whatever you want to call it. When we serve cannabis, it starts to serve us.
All right, so that is a clip from Melody Silverwolf. She just passed away 1 week ago today, and she had been a longtime supporter for us. She'd worked at THCF medical clinics for a decade, helping lead the record review department, and she was a master wordsmith as well, and she's missed. She's got a memorial coming up on May the 16th, Saturday, May the 16th, at the Melody Ballroom at 1 p.m. For those of you out there who know and love her, she will be there. at the memorial in spirit, as will her friends in physical presence. So we are just about ready to wrap up. Anthony, give us your contact information again and tell us what's the most important thing we can do to help keep this thing alive in the legislature.
Most important thing you can do is stay on top of the Measure 91 committee and make sure they get your phone calls and your emails. That's what's changed it so far. If we hadn't done that over the last couple of weeks, we would be limited to 24 plants in our gardens. It's through all of y'all's efforts that we're at 96 in certain instances, and that we're going to continue to allow the marijuana program to exist. You can reach me through our website at compassionateoregon.com or message us on our Facebook page, Compassionate Oregon.
Casper?
Time for hemp.com. Check it out. We are a group of people that are dedicated to ending marijuana prohibition all around the world. And like a joint, we are always best when shared with friends.
And we have clinics all around the country where we help people get their medical marijuana permits. We urge you to support the referendum on the bill in Washington. It's R76. You can find out more at r76no.org. That website's not up tonight, but it will be next week. You can call us, find out more about our clinics toll free at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. Or go to our website, our web portal at hemp.org, HEMP.org. Thanks for coming on, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Thank
My
you,
pleasure.
Casper.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, John Cornett. John's going to sing another fantastic tune about cannabis, and we won't be live for the next 3 weeks. We'll be alive, but we'll be doing a tape show and be at Pioneer Courthouse Square tomorrow. The march starts at 4 p.m., but we'll have music starting at noon. So come on down to Pioneer Courthouse Square, or go to one of the other 300 cities all around the world to join in the support for global cannabis freedom. Thanks again, and here's Mr. John Cornett. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp.
They call it marijuana. I call it Metaganja. I want Metaganja. Woo! Ganja. I want to use Metaganja for cooler medicine. Prohibition must end. Metaganja.